Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com with this week's episode of the Rogue Market. It is Eternal Master spoilers. I waited for as long as I can here before I did this video. Have to take off to the store to open it, but so far it is 1 o'clock my time on the Monday of Eternal Master spoiling, so it's the 23rd of May. And we have some goodies here, some real goodies. So it does seem to be that Eternal Masters is panning out to be a incredibly valuable set. So right off the bat, we have a Mana Crypt. Mana Crypt is currently like a $170 card, I believe, something around there, and sees a ton of play in Vintage as well. Is this one banned in EDH? I don't think this one was banned in EDH, as it's just like another Soul Ring. So every EDH deck is going to now have access to this Mana Crypt, and I think the prices are going to stay pretty stable at around $40 to $50 for a Mythic for Mana Crypt. We have a Jace the Mind Sculptor, which is a very expensive card as well, and a Sylvan Library. So not only are they packing this full of expensive cards, they're also packing it full of cards that see a ton of play in the Vintage format as well as the Legacy format. We have a Gamble that is, I think this is like a $9 card, I'm not quite sure on it. Nimble Mongoose used to be a huge staple in Legacy. It has, I think, fallen out of favor recently. A lot of the decks don't try to, like, it used to be like a blue-green Delver list that used Nimble Mongoose, and so you try to get Threshold as quick as possible, and it's just another 1-mana 3/3 creature. The Toxic Deluge was only available in the Commander deck. This is also a decently expensive card. I think it's in the mid-teens. And the Charbelcher has an entire deck built around the Charbelcher. I don't think the Charbelcher itself is that expensive of a card, but it's a nice addition, and it looks like that they are putting in a lot of these staple Legacy type decks. Now we have a $50 card in the form of Sneak Attack. Necropotence at a Mythic, I don't like that. I'd rather have it at a rare, but I think it's the most expensive card out of Ice Age. Correct me if I'm wrong here. But this is kind of your Mythic that you don't want to open so far out of all the Mythics that they've spoiled. I mean, we have a very expensive Jace, $70, $80, and then a very expensive Mana Crypt, a very expensive Sneak Attack, and then Necropotence. I'll have to see exactly what the price of Necropotence is. But yeah, I think it's definitely pales in comparison to these other Mythics. Deathrite Shaman, not quite sure how I feel about this card. It's same with the Bloodbraid Elf, because they're both modern ban cards that aren't that expensive. I think Bloodbraid Elf is around $3 and Deathrite Shaman is around $7. And then we have a Chrome Mox. That's a great addition, because I think this is a decently expensive card and is a very heavily played card in Legacy. A lot of these Storm type strategies use it, as well as Charbelcher, I believe, does use the Chrome Mox. And anything just that tries to get a nice early advantage uses the Chrome Mox. It is banned in Modern because it would be broken as all broken gets in Modern. And then an Uncommon Daze, which is nice that they put this at the Uncommon, as it is, the price of Daze has been climbing up. This is something that MTGO really needs. I believe Daze is like a 14 ticket card on MTGO. So anyway, I'd like to talk about, this could be, my predictions here could be obsolete within a few hours if we do start to see some of these cards spoiled that I want to mention. But I'm just going to talk about some cards that I think are very good in the to speculate in. The first one is going to be, let me pull some cards up here. On MTG Goldfish, the first one is going to be Council's Judgment. So this is out of Conspiracy. It's a $6 card. It sees plenty of play in Legacy. We're getting another Conspiracy coming out shortly here. The foils are insanely expensive at $50 a piece, but I think that it's hit its bottom. It's been going down for quite some time now. 6 is the lowest I think I've ever seen it, and if this does lead to more people in Legacy, I think that Council's Judgment is a perfect pickup. Conspiracy was decently opened. You can actually still order it through Wizards, so they printed a ton of this, but it just hasn't been the hit that they expected it to be. But it has, I mean, this is a decent price for a rare in a set like Conspiracy. There's a few other cards out of Conspiracy that I think are worth buying into. I'm not sure if Dak Faden's one of them, because this is the only reason that people actually do buy into the Conspiracy box is for that Dak Faden. There's a ton of foils that are worth a lot in this deck. Basically, any of these foils are actually worth quite a bit. The rest of these cards have been going down for quite some time. If you don't see Swords to Plowshare spoiled within the next few days, which I highly think is suspect to be spoiled, I would think that Brainstorm and Swords to Plowshare are an auto include in this deck because, or in the Eternal Masters, just because of how much they're played. I think that Stifle will probably also get a reprint in Eternal Masters, but if like Stifle or Swords of Plowshare or Brainstorm, or I would say even like Exploration, don't get a reprint in this set, then I think that they'd be safe pickups. The Council's Judgment's another one out of Conspiracy that has played a ton, and so I think Nature's Claim is out of Modern, but I'm looking at some other ones. Sulfuric Vortex, that's another decently played. I can't remember if Burn has given up on Sulfuric Vortex or if they still do play the card, but this card has seen play, at least in Legacy before, and there's a few other gems here and there in the Conspiracy. The next one I want to talk about is like the Miracle cards. The one I like the most is Terminus, because Terminus, it wasn't from the Vault Annihilation, but it's been steadily going up here for the past while. It's down to $3 a piece, and this is a card that sees heavy play in Miracles, which is a very heavily played deck in the Legacy type format, just because how many ways you can manipulate the top of your library. So Miracles just tries to put Terminus back on top of their library, and then it's just 1 mana to put everything on the bottom. It's very good against like Elves and Goblins or any other creature-based deck. Terminus is the go-to removal spell in the format, especially for for the Miracles type deck. So that's another one that I really like as a spec. And the last one, I don't think that you want to spec into the Shardless Agent, because I believe that Shardless Agent is going to be in the Plane Chase 2012, which we're getting a reprint. This is another very heavily played card in the Legacy format in the Shardless Bug, and it's right now a few players are actually calling this, more of the pros are calling the Shardless Agent like the best deck in the format. I'm not quite sure I agree with that. I don't have a lot of experience in the Legacy format, but you can see on MTGO it's just not nearly as played as much as Miracles. But there's a lot of ways you can break this card, like a Lurin. That's another card if that doesn't get reprinted. I think that's a very safe pickup. Let's see if we can find how to spell it exactly. Yeah, here's another card that I think that at $14 might have some more room to grow if it doesn't get reprinted. But I think the best way to look at speculating in the next little bit is just to go over here on the decks, go over to the metagame, and start looking at all the Legacy cards. And if any of these high staple cards do not get a reprint in the Legacy format, that's the time to pick them up. There has been speculation that Snapcaster is going to be in here. Divining Top, I think they need to reprint Divining Top or just ban it. Otherwise, this card is going to go insane in price. We have like the Jitte, that's another card that can be reprinted. Here's the 4 of Terminus, though, in that Miracles list. So the Jace is already getting a reprint. The Force of Will is already get a reprint. Counterbalance most likely will get a reprint. But if all of those get a reprint, it really takes the price down of this Miracles deck, and then people can actually get into the Legacy format with a budget list, just not using the Volcanic Islands, Tundras, and Volcanic Islands and Tundras, and just using the Shocklands instead. Now, the Shocklands do cost 2 life, which is an issue, especially with like the burn type strategies. When you already start your life total at 17 rather than at 19, that's huge. So I think that's going to be Legacy's problem, is that people are just going to have to play a subpar list of the Shocklands rather than these dual lands until they can address that reserve list. But that might not hinder a lot of people going to Legacy if they can actually build this deck. So you can run budget versions of it. It's only slightly decreases the power level of this deck. So $3,000, that's half the amount of money can just be cut by these Volcanic Islands and Tundras. And if the Jaces and Force of Wills, which I highly think are going to go way down, become affordable, then people will get into exactly this deck here, because it would be quite easy to pick up the pieces of like the Terminuses and the Ponders, Preordains, and that I think is where I like Terminus as the #1 pick to invest in right now. I think it has the most room to grow because it's just such a staple card in the Miracles deck, which sees a ton of play. So right now in MTGO, it's by far the most played deck at 20%. Eldrazi Stompy keeps increasing in playability. Most of these cards are actually out of the Modern format, but you can actually look at picking up some of these that aren't legal. And like the Trinosphere is also legal, but Thorn of Amethyst and Trinosphere actually might see a jump just because of this. But Jitte, I highly expect Jitte will be reprinted in this. It looks like they're doing that. They're reprinting all the banned cards out of Modern. and slapping them in the Legacy or Eternal Masters. That way they don't have to give up like slots in Modern Masters, cards that need reprinted like the Jitte. Caverns of Souls, I hope, gets a reprint in Eternal Masters. That's one of them, and Wasteland is already getting a reprint, so it's going to be, this deck continues to be more and more affordable. So I think about time, Thought Not Seen Rally Smashers are probably at their lowest they're ever going to be. It might be a good time to start picking up these just for the amount of people that might be entering the Legacy format. We might see just the whole problem that we saw with Modern Masters 1 is that Modern Masters 1 actually increased the price of Modern just because people started buying Modern Masters and, oh, they opened up a Tarmogoyf, now they want 3 more, now they want to start playing Modern, they're going to pick up the rest of the Jund list, and it just, the prices of Modern just went crazy. Very disappointed in Wizards that they didn't do an Eternal Masters GP. That would have been huge. They should have done it in Vegas again. I would have loved to go to that, and I think it would have sold out around 5,000 people. I think that there's enough people who would love to dip their toes in Eternal Masters, especially just like a Grand Prix, is the value is there. Even if it's like a $70 entry, you get the 6 packs for the sealed, and then just all the side events and things like that. It's just worthwhile to go down to that sort of thing. Like last time in the first Modern Masters, what was it, a playmat that could, I sold my playmat immediately for $60, so I got my entry fee back right there. And I love the big Eternal or Modern Masters type Grand Prix, just when there's tons and tons of vendors. I just don't know why Wizards didn't do a better job at kind of promoting the Eternal Masters, and the Grand Prix would have been perfect for that. So yeah, Shard, there's bugs on here. Grixis Delver. Let's just look at the Grixis Delver list. There is like True Name Nemesis. That's probably the lowest. Is this the card the lowest it's ever been? They reprinted Mind Seize like crazy though. Yeah. Yep, True Name Nemesis is the lowest. It is only like a 1 of, I think it's a 4 of in Merfolk though. Merfolk has fallen out of favor lately. Young Pyromancers might be a good thing to pick up. The Deathrite Shaman's getting a reprint, so not on that. But here's another deck that the mana base is everything. So the actual deck itself is very inexpensive to get into Legacy, and you just have to use some shock lands instead of the dual lands. And yeah, the two of the other pieces that desperately needed reprints did get them with the Force of Will and the Wasteland. So here's another deck that I think is quite easy to get into. I think after that, if you take out the mana base, this is less expensive than most modern decks after the Force of Will and Wasteland could continue to go down in value. So just some food for thought. I don't know. I still think Terminus, if I were to pick up one card, it'd be the Terminus and really speculate high into that, as I highly doubt that it's going to be reprinted. And the numbers don't lie here on MTGO. With the Miracles deck being 20% of the metagame, I think that is just very telling of how powerful the deck is. Maybe it's just more powerful on MTGO just because of the true variance nature of the Shuffler on MTGO, that people like any ways to manipulate the top of your library gets you that much of an advantage. But yeah, so yeah, I would just go and check all of these lists. When in the next few hours or few days, when we have the complete list, if any of these are not on the Eternal Masters list, I would speculate into all of them. Every single piece that's under like $4 or $5, buy up a ton of them. This is going to lead to a lot of players entering the Legacy scene, as now they can get a Sneak and Show playset for probably, what is it going to go down from $50 to $25? The Force of Wills have already been hit. The Wastelands have already been hit. I think this is a very opportune time to at least test the waters for Legacy and see if people like it or not. But that's my advice. I'm not going to get too fancy with this list. Maybe after we get the full spoiling, I'll update it, and then we'll do another market video when we do have that list, and then I can basically pinpoint the targets that I think are the best. But for now, I think Terminus is the most safe card, as it just got a reprint in the From the Vault's Annihilation and is a 4 of in the most played deck. Anyway, this has been Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Thanks for watching.